oh, this is class warfare, this is whatever. No, there is nobody in this country who got rich on his own. Nobody. You built a factory out there, good for you, but I want to be clear, you moved your goods to market on the roads the rest of us paid for. Yep. You hired workers, the rest of us paid to educate. You were safe in your factory because of police forces and fire forces that the rest of us paid for.
Well, it turns out that this certain senator did get rich by herself, the big socialist. Wait till you hear this one. Jillian K. Melchior, writer for the National Review, fellow for the Franklin Center and Independent Women's Forum, is here. And as usual, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Your hand's warm. Mine is freezing in here. Again, great job.
Thank you.
You always go where no one else goes, and this is amazing stuff. Elizabeth Warren, who told us she had Native American background, then it turned out, oops, I don't have Native American background, who preaches this populist and socialism and all this stuff, and you didn't build it, and you know, rich people stink and they're bad. She got rich flipping homes.
That's right. You know, my colleague Ileana Johnson and I looked into this. Boston Herald had done a bit on it in 2012. But we were able to find about 5 homes in Oklahoma that she had bought and then sold for a significant profit. And that's interesting as a hypocrisy point, because she's somebody who's taken to the public forum and said, home flipping is very risky, very speculative.
Specifically, she addressed that.
In fact, I can give you a quote here. She said that they are, let's see, everybody seemed to have a story about that they knew about somebody who is getting rich flipping homes, and that it was very risky. Yeah. So 2 of those homes, not only were they home flipped, but they were also foreclosed upon. And that is a huge issue for her. You've got her saying that foreclosures are notorious for fetching very low prices, that foreclosures are about the home. It's the physical and emotional nexus of many households, as well as the centerpiece of American finances. Yet when 2 foreclosed upon homes went on the market, she snapped them up, later sold them.
What? All right, here we go again. Is it the arrogance of power, or why would you even ever address it if you're doing it? Or whichever came first, the chicken or the egg, why would you, do it and address it? If you're doing it, shut up about it, or if, and vice versa. What makes her so bold as to trash it and while she's doing it?
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head with this. I mean, she is somebody that's come out and said, this is too risky, come out and warned about the dangers of foreclosure, and then done it herself. Maybe there was a good explanation. I'm all for capitalistic activity. But for her, that would have been worth disclosing. And when we found it out, it would have been worth taking on the record questions, about which she also failed to do.
And she's not all for capitalist activity. So that's the hypocrisy here, too. She would frown upon that, in addition to trashing it in her own. She would frown upon anything like this, and this specifically, and yet there she is doing it. Now, again, you've written about this. It had been written about No 12. Yet this is the first we're really hearing about it, thanks to your reporting. The media isn't talking about this. They're going to leave her alone.
Well, it's gotten a little bit of push, but I think, what's interesting about this also, I looked into one of the stories of the homes in particular, and it's worth telling the story because Elizabeth Warren paints herself as a champion for the little guy against the financial sophisticates who were turning a profit.
This was a home that was handed down, had a history to it. Talk about it.
This home was owned by a great-grandmother, V.O. Vessels. She passed away. Her 70-year-old daughter, Mary Frances Hickman, took it. Now, Mary Frances Hickman was an Avon salesman for 40 years. Her family knows her as a woman who pulled herself up by her bootstraps. One of the top Avon representatives in America for a little bit. But she ended up selling this home after her mother died for $30,000 to Elizabeth Warren. Now, this is a house, beautiful brick home, butler's quarters. The kids remember playing house in the garage.
$30,000.
Yeah, it had fallen into a little bit of disrepair, but that's a very low price. Well, Elizabeth Warren invested a little bit of money in it. Then 5 months later, even though she'd bought it for $30,000, sold it for $145,000. That's a 383% profit off of what she paid for it. And I just, I look at this and I say, this is exactly the kind of story that she likes to tell about capitalists taking advantage of the little guy. Here she is doing it. No answer from her.
No answer for her, I'm sure. So you have reached out to her, and you're
Yes.
willing, and you're looking for
We wanted a quote.
explanation.
We wanted, if there were any extenuating circumstances, we wanted records. You know, because it is valid to engage in capitalistic
Absolutely.
activity. But she was unwilling to provide.
I'd like to invest 30 and get back 140, you know, or whatever that she invested.
Great work if you can find it.
But if when you're running your whole political persona on this is evil capitalism and how evil people do these things, and you're doing them, she needs to explain that. Absolutely. All right. Now here's another thing. Let's say Marco Rubio or any of the announced Republican candidates, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but it turns out Bernie Sanders has written about women fantasizing about being raped, gang raped, when he believes that when they're having sex, if I'm not misrepresenting this, at least wrote about this, that many women think they're fantasize about being gang raped. Now, you know what trouble Republicans have gotten in over the years for the word rape and all that. I mean, I would have expected if this was Rubio or somebody else, wall to wall, all day long, nothing but what this was about. I've been watching CNN all day, torturing myself. I haven't seen it.
You know, I think it's terrible. You know, if you're a politician, you need to know that the microphone is always on. If you don't want it printed, don't let it happen. And he took it and he let it happen. I think it's incredibly poor judgment. And you're right, this is something that, you know, I haven't been a fan of Republican men talking about this issue. I thought they haven't been very sensitive. But the Democratic Party paints itself as, you know, we're fighting the war for women against the war on women.
Led by Bill Clinton.
Yeah, you know, I just think it's crazy. I think he needs to be held to the same standard everyone else is. Very offensive comments to make.
All right, so I'm inviting Elizabeth Warren and Al Sharpton to the next gathering I'm having. I hope you'll be there.
Excellent. I'm there.
Thank you very much. Always great to see you. All right, folks, we're coming back with the Malzberg panel, and we're going to be talking about Bernie Sanders' fantasies, or what he says women's fantasies are, and more. Don't go away.